Okay, we mentioned very briefly, the din is you're not allowed to make a hefsek, you're not allowed to talk between the shalyad and the shorosh, between putting on the hand tefillin and the head tefillin. Now what happens if somebody in the middle of putting on tefillins, they hear Kedusha, Baruch Hu, or things like that? So then it's interesting, Kitzur Shchunar says you're not even supposed to answer that. You don't answer Kedusha, Baruch Hu, you just... But the Alter Rebbe in Siddur holds that you do answer it, but not every Yamin. Just Kedusha, Baruch Hu, things that you're allowed to answer between Birchas Krishma. And then even though it's going to cause you to make a new second bracha on the Shorosh, it doesn't matter. So the bottom line is, if you hear Kedusha, Baruch Hu, or special Amens in between the Shayad and the Shorosh, then you do answer, and even though it's going to cause you to make a separate bracha. Even by Rabbeinu Tam's Tefillin, where you don't make a bracha between Rashi and Rabbeinu Tam, and between Shalyad and Shorosh. So he says, over there you're also mekel, you don't talk stam, but the answer, Kedusha, Baruch Hu, Amen, between the Shalyad and the Shorosh of Rabbeinu Tam's Tefillin, where you're anyway not making a bracha, then you could answer it. But in addition to the fact that you're making another bracha, one second, there's another reason why you're supposed to put the Shalyad and the Shorosh together. That's why even in Rabbeinu Tam's Tefillin, where you're not making a bracha, you're still not allowed to talk between Shalyad and Shorosh. Why? Because it says, in other words, we should go together. The hand tefillin and the head tefillin go together. So therefore, even though Rabbeinu Tam's Tefillin, you don't make a bracha. Nevertheless, you're not allowed to talk between the Rashi and between Shalyad and Shorosh. If you hear Kedusha, Baruch Hu, and any Amen, then in Rabbeinu Tam's Tefillin you can make a bracha. Any Amen. By Rabbeinu Tam, not by Rashi.
You do all the Kedusha?
Yeah, the whole Kedusha. Now, there's another interesting shaila, which is very interesting because very few poskim talk about it. There's really one person that talks about it and they bring him down. But even that, not too many bring him down. When you say the Shema in Rabbeinu Tam's Tefillin, the three parshas of Shema, are you allowed to talk? Are you allowed to answer any Amen? Are you allowed to say Kaddish? What is the din in the Krishma of Rabbeinu Tam's Tefillin? Does it have the same severity as the Shema when in the middle of davening, that you're not allowed to answer most things? So there's the Rabbi Kiva Eger brings down the Panim Me'iris that says that you shouldn't talk lechinam. You shouldn't talk for no reason in the Shema of Rabbeinu Tam's Tefillin, which means that you don't talk stam, but to answer Amen, Kedusha, Baruch Hu, that in the Shema of Rabbeinu Tam's Tefillin you do answer. Even though the Shema, when you say Shema, you don't answer it, but in Rabbeinu Tam's Tefillin, the Shema, you're allowed to answer those things. Now, what did you want? You were asking for.
If you answer all the Kedusha or only the...
Yeah, answer the whole Kedusha. Probably better not between Shalyad and Shorosh? No, for sure not. Shalyad and Shorosh? No. Anytime you're not allowed to talk, you don't say Baruch Hu Baruch Shmei. You're not supposed to talk between Shalyad and Shorosh, so you don't say Baruch Hu Baruch Shmei. But Amen you could answer, and definitely Kaddish and Baruch Hu and all that. But in the Shema of Rabbeinu Tam's Tefillin, so then you can answer anything. Now another din. Huh? No, Baruch Hu Shmei you shouldn't answer in that. Because again, you don't stamp talk. Baruch Hu Shmei is not that important. Now what happens, and it's down in Svardim, this has to happen once in your lifetime. What happens if by mistake you put on Rabbeinu Tam's instead of Rashi's? Instead of Rashi's Tefillin, you get up in the morning, you have 3/4 of sleep, you put on Rabbeinu Tam's Tefillin and you make a bracha on Rabbeinu Tam's Tefillin. And now, you whatever, you're already after davening or whatever, certain things. So the din is like, there's a big machlekes between the Tzanzir and the Minchas HaLazar and another Shita, but basically, the bottom line is if you didn't talk in between the Rabbeinu Tam and the Rashi, and that's what you put on Rabbeinu Tam, right after you put on Rabbeinu Tam, you realized that, hey, it's the wrong tefillin, If you don't talk, you take it off and put on Rashi's tefillin right away. If you talk, even if you daven, the minhag is that you do make a new bracha on Rabbeinu Tam's tefillin. Well, yeah, because you made a bracha on Rabbeinu Tam's tefillin, you're right. Then you make a bracha when you're putting on the Rashi's. But if you didn't talk, you didn't daven anything, then you don't have to make a new bracha. Ratan, they say that once in a lifetime you have to make a bracha on Rabbeinu Tam's tefillin, so Hashem makes you have a mistake, that somehow you put on Rabbeinu Tam's tefillin instead of Rashi. If it happens more often, you got a problem.
If you daven in Rabbeinu Tam, after you put the Rashi, you make a bracha, you say Shema, you don't have to do the Rabbeinu Tam again.
No, 1 second. If you daven, let's say in Rabbeinu Tam's tefillin,
yes.
Okay, now, you're going to put on Rashi's tefillin. So you make a bracha. You say the 3 parshas of Shema, but you didn't say Vayidaber and Kaddish Kol B'chor. You didn't say that yet. So you say that in Rashi's tefillin. So it doesn't matter. You can say in Rabbeinu Tam's tefillin, then put on the Rashi's. Well, it doesn't matter. Okay, but again, if you're talking about things that pertaining to the tefillin, then it's not a problem. Okay, next. The retzuas of the tefillin, we mentioned it all the way at the beginning very briefly. The straps of the tefillin must be black. That's halacha Moshe Sinai, that the straps must be black. The bias of the tefillin, the box of the tefillin, halachically does not have to be black. It's more important halachically that the straps are black rather than the tefillin itself. The reason why we do it, because it's called Noi Mitzvah, but the minhag today is that the tefillin are black. But it's more important for the ritzis to be black. Now therefore, what happens if it turned over? The ritzua turned over. So the Alter Rebbe brings this down in Tanya. It says you should fast, and you don't have to be careful, whatever. But these, and this is very practical, you have to be careful that the ritzuas are not turned over. That's on the head, and when there's 7 straps of the hand. The part that hangs down, sometimes it turns over, that doesn't matter. Halacha, the Shulchan Aruch says, that doesn't matter if it turns over a little bit. But the straps that you put around the hand and the strap mamish around the head, that if it turned over, you have to redo it. It says you should even fast. The Gemara says they fasted 40 fasts because he did it. But you have to be careful that it should be mamish black on the without any. But the ones that come down. Now, 1 second. There's another interesting thing. Halacha brings it down, but it's more Kabbalah than halacha, and that is how long should the ritzuas be? How long should the straps hang down for? So if you notice, there's 2 things. The right one is longer than the left one. That's the way it's supposed to be. The right one is, when you buy a pair of tefillin, you notice the right one hanging down is longer than the left one hanging down. Some people, there's an opinion that says it should be until the belly. Some people say until the lower part, the bris milah area. And some people say until the regel. So usually the straps actually come down pretty far down, which is good according to all opinions. But the straps that hang down is not that important. Therefore, if it turns over, it doesn't matter. That really doesn't matter. Yeah.
When you mentioned that we have to redo it, are you saying that it's folded the wrong way, and then we say Kriya Shema, we have to do Kriya Shema again?
Yep.
I'm not talking about just like putting it on and then we need to straighten it out.
No, but I'm saying if, let's say somebody davened and they said Shema, would the ritzua turned inside out, whatever?
But not while you're doing it.
No. If you did Shema, you fix it right away. I'm saying if you already did, you davened already, and then somebody tells, hey, your thing's, inside out, let's put it that way. Did you have to do Shema again? I said, we mentioned if you should fast. In the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch, it says you should fast or you should redeem it for tzedakah.
Many times when they have to daven again, they do it.
When they have to daven again, they should daven.
The has a double black, why is it reset in nature?
Some people don't like it.
Why, what's the reasoning?
Why they like it, why they don't like it. I mean, what does it do?
Why is it the point of black?
No, it's not going to help if it flips either.
Why not?
What? Both sides black? Some people say it's muhudr, some people say it's not muhudr.
How do we hold?
Some people say it's muhudr, some people say it's not muhudr.
Why doesn't it help if it flips?
Because it's still flipped.
Some people.
It's still flipped.
Not because of the whitish one, that's the issue, because the black has to be.
Lav dafka.
If it fades, it still says it stays black.
If it fades, ideally you have to paint the ritzua.
But if it's black on black, it stays black. You can fade it,
It doesn't fade. Why doesn't it fade?
because the whole thing is black. No, it's black.
But it's painted black.
It's blackout.
Why the ritzua is more important to be black?
Because the Gemara says the ritzua black is halacha Moshe Messinai, and this is just to make it look nicer, so it's black. But you have to be careful in the box. Sometimes you bang it against something, and then it's not square anymore. Yeah, if you chip it, sometimes the tefillin is not kosher. Mamish, you have to get a new pair of tefillin, because they're not fixable. Sometimes, I'm saying, if it's just a little paint, yes, you can put in a little bit of paint. But if you chip it, that mamish chips, then if it's not square, then you have to redo the tefillin. You have to get a new pair of tefillin, at least it should rush. Okay, next. When a person is wearing tefillin, the Gemara says you're supposed to touch the tefillin often. Because l'chayv l'mashmish b'tefillin b'chol shah, that's why various parts of davening we touch the tefillin. There's all part to remind ourselves that there is tefillin. Now, there's something I want to say, even though Api Halacha you're allowed to do it, but it's really not right. And that is, to preface it, when people wore tefillin a whole day, then they ate and drank in tefillin, that was a normal thing. When people wear only tefillin only for davening, even though halacha says you're allowed to eat and drink in tefillin, but it's really inappropriate to eat and drink while you're wearing tefillin nowadays. Why? You're wearing it for a short period of time of davening, tefillin, of davening. What in the world do you need to take a drink? You're dying from thirst. I mean, most people, by the way, will not make a l'chaim in tefillin. They'll take off the tefillin. Some people don't even talk in tefillin. Some people talk only Hebrew in tefillin. That I'll never get. But the only Hebrew, not the Yiddish or English. But it says you shouldn't because you need respect for the tefillin. So why should somebody need to eat or drink during tefillin? They can't survive that 45 minutes without it. I mean, it's like, again, halachically it's allowed, but still, it's like funny. What?
Some Sibirine states repeatedly, remember to, don't to. There was an explanation, I forgot what it was.
Because you have to always remember that you have tefillin. And in fact, when you touch the tefillin, you're supposed to touch the hand tefillin first, and then the head tefillin again, because it says, "Ukshartum le'sayidacha," then v'yildu tofes beinenecha.
You're trying to concentrate on the tefillah, and it says concentrate on the tefillah.
It doesn't say a whole time touch the tefillin.
No, it says concentrate, remember.
So then the Siddurim are very, Machmeh is very disturbing.
Can I still daven mincha?
Yeah, go to the back and daven mincha.
Pray loud so we can say amen.
No, just daven. Okay, so when you touch the hand tefillin, you say Ukshatum le'sayidacha. Some people touch tefillin in different parts. Some people by Yismuch HaShemayim Saga La'aretz, they'll touch Yismuch HaShemayim and Saga La'aretz, because that's the Rosh Hashanah's Yudke Vavke. Our minig is not to do it then. There's a minig at different places, whatever. Okay, that's it.